tell us what's going on.
Especially if you're unsure. It's better for you to ask than mess up.
Right. And consequences can be pretty dire, so I can imagine why information would be good.
It's okay to tell us that you're a student pilot. We would like to know that, so that we'll keep an extra special eye on you, especially when you're traveling around the airport, taxiing around the airport. There's a lot more instructions with the progressive taxis now, and it becomes very confusing sometimes to the pilot. So please don't be afraid to ask us again if we talk too fast.
Do you think anybody ever uses that as an excuse after they kind of mess up a little bit? Oh, I'm a student pilot.
Sure, and that's okay.
It gives a little cover there.
Have you?
Have I? Yeah. When I was a student pilot, actually, my last call in, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a student pilot. So, but I hadn't messed up at that point.
Can we use student controller?
Okay, that would be good.
So I know you in the past have done things about what is the top 10 pilot mistakes.
We've done several top 10 pilot mistakes, top 10 questions. I did controller pet peeves for just little things that bug us that pilots could do a little better to help us out.
Anything that you can think of off those lists that stands out in particular?
Rambling on the frequency. Who you are, where you are,
what you want.
And I find that very interesting that from the beginning of your training, you learn that, isn't that correct? And it's still, is a problem for us.
That's interesting you say that. I was just talking to someone about that yesterday in the flight training process. The whole idea of communications is very intimidating to people, and I cut my teeth in Van Nuys, which is one of the busiest in chatter, and people get so hung up on the terminology, getting the terminology right, that they forget or they don't really put together the crucial content that's necessary.
You hear a lot of 10-4.
If you end up not remembering the exact terms, it's still better to get that who you are, where you are, and what you want across. So I don't know if there's something we can do in training to kind of push that more than all of the strict. This is how you call in. This is make sure you say niner and stuff. And that's great. But if you don't have the basics conveyed, then.
But when you have all them uncontrolled airports and a lot of training goes on at uncontrolled airports, they don't get that. They don't get that training. So when they get into a terminal environment, approach control, this and that, they're lost with words.
Yeah.
So how you transition, I don't know what the best training would be, but it needs to be something for them to learn on.
And how do you pull that information out of a pilot that's not quite giving you what you need without falling into chatter?
Sometimes you have to fall into chatter to get what you need. And it takes away from a lot of other stuff that needs to be done. But, it's all about training. It's all about learning.
So now, is every controller a member of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association?
No.
We have